3, 2, 1. Eat what you kill. Hello, HuntChef Nation. Today we're here to celebrate my little girl Chloe's first ever whitetail harvest by making a blackened venison heart. We got some wild chicken in the woods mushrooms. We're gonna throw down on some homemade barbecue beans with the pickled jalapenos, and you're not gonna wanna miss it. So today we've got this gorgeous venison heart. Now I soaked it for about 4 days in a saltwater brine in the refrigerator, and that's gonna help obviously get salt in, which equals flavor, and get blood out. But what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how I clean this thing up. So you know, you got all this junk, all the big arteries and veins and whatnot in the center, and on what I call the back side of the heart, you can see this clear line that runs down to the tip. So what I like to do is start up around the edge, and most of what's in the middle is gonna come out of this heart and go to the side. And then it'll give you a better view of how big those chambers are inside. And what we want to do is get down into the center. Basically, we're going to butterfly this guy right open. And you'll see all the little ligaments in there that make this pump station work prior to it being shut down permanently by a rage broadhead. So a lot of you have probably done this many times, but for those of you that haven't, what we want to do now is clean out all this heavier connective tissue up around the top edge. And we're starting to get a nice butterfly laid open venison heart here. Here we go. So we got one more ventricle right there. And what I want to do is now I'm going to split this into 2 halves. So you can see how nice and meaty this heart is. Now one of the things we're going to do to keep this from all curling up as it cooks is we're going to score it. And we're just going to go 1/16 of an inch into the flesh. And then we're going to do the same on the outside. And what we're doing is scoring this meat because it is strong and because it pumps and pumps and pumps the animal's whole life. And when you introduce this to heat, when it's butterfly like this, it'll make it want to cause it to shrink up. So we're going to try and use this method to keep it from shrinking. So we've got a great little grid pattern there on the inside and the outside, but this heart is just about ready for the seasoning, and we're going to let it set and let that seasoning set into it and set up while we get our beans started. All these onions are coming along nicely, starting to brown up, releasing all that aroma. So we've got some pre-cooked white beans we're going to add to the skillet. And you can absolutely do these from raw, but sure makes it nice and easy when we do it like this, shorter amount of time. Now I've got some beef broth that we're gonna add to this to kind of make our bean barbecue-y backbone of deliciousness. I've got some pickled jalapeno peppers for a little bit of kick and bite. And I've got a whole bunch of my low down and dirty sweet and smoky barbecue rub going in. That's gonna be that backbone of barbecue flavor for our beans. Got some amber honey, and finally some blackstrap molasses. Can't have good barbecue beans without molasses. So now we're going to turn down the heat, let them simmer and let all those flavors work and come together, and we're going to get our mushrooms started. Now if you've never cooked chicken in the woods mushrooms before, they are notoriously dry, so they suck up a lot of whatever you're cooking with, be it butter, stock, oil, anything like that. And these guys I've actually blanched in salted water in preparation for freezing them, so they're not going to take as much. But we're still going to start with a lot of butter. Now with these, we've got some minced sweet onion, as well as the sweet red bell pepper. We're going to give them some black pepper, fresh out of the mill. And then we're going to season them up with some sea salt. So the process of blackening was created by Chef Paul Prudhomme way down south in Louisiana. and he became absolutely famous for his blackened redfish. And that was the goal for me when I created my straight out of Pontchartrain. So what we want to do, we need to have a hot cast iron pan. We need to have liberally seasoned protein, whether it's fish, venison, steak, chicken, pork chops, whatever you got, and you need some melted butter. So we're already seasoned up. We've got this melted butter. We're going to drizzle. And oftentimes you'll find that if the meat is cold, when the butter goes on, it makes sort of it congeals quickly. It makes sort of a crust on there. And you're going to like that if you try it a lot. We're a little warm here in the set today, but it's going to work out fantastic for us. So liberal coating of the butter on one side. We're going to turn these beautiful pieces of venison heart over and do the other. So once you have it butter coated, have that pan scorching hot, and then we're going to place the meat right down on it and get that charred blackened crust. So we made those cross cuts, those scores in the sides of the heart across those grains, and that kept it from shrinking up and kind of resuming its natural shape. It stayed nice and flat and allowing us to get a great sear all the way across that piece of heart. So we've got some fresh parsley and thyme to finish off our chicken of the woods mushrooms. It's going to provide a nice light herbal backbone to these guys. We've got a little bit of caramelization on them and the onions and the bell pepper in here, and they're going to make a fantastic complement to our blackened venison heart. So we've got all these great flavors here. Now it's time to bring them together on one plate. We're going to start off with our beans. Got the bacon, the onion, the pickled jalapeno, the low down and dirty. We've got a lot going on right here in these barbecue beans. We've got our chicken of the woods mushrooms. And now it's time for the star of this show, the venison heart. Oh yeah, we've got a beautiful medium, just above medium rare. I mean, look at that. That looks fantastic. Now I've got some of my Stonehouse hot honey barbecue sauce. And we're gonna drizzle all the way around here. Got a little bit of fresh thyme and fresh parsley for eye appeal and flavor. We just threw down on a feast of wild game deliciousness fit for a king. We got the chicken of the woods mushrooms, those barbecue beans underneath, and that blackened venison heart, all finished off with my hot honey barbecue sauce. Wow. You're watching HuntChef on Mountaintop Outdoors, and remember, always eat what you kill. So believe it or not, we just made an amazing venison heart dish. There's chicken of the woods mushrooms and the beans. Look at the bacon, look at the onions, the pickled jalapenos. Oh my gosh. But the best part, look at that medium rare blackened venison heart. 8 days in the fridge in a saltwater brine. Not one taste of blood. Melt in your mouth tender. Insanely delicious. That is where wild game flavor is at right there.